Alright, hi guys. Tonight we are starting our hydroponics lab. We are going to be doing deep water culture, so you should have seen that in your lecture. Essentially what we're doing is we're going to be using a fish tank that I have above me here. We're going to be filling that with our water and nutrient solution and placing our plants they're essentially just going to float on top. Right, so the roots are going to grow down into the water. They're going to be able to access all the water and the nutrients that they need through that system. We're not having any pumping. We're not going to be pumping any of the water or nutrients around. We will have an air stone in there to provide a little bit of flow and a little bit of aeration, but that's about it. So it's a really easy system to do. The downsides of this system is that it's really suited for smaller plants. So you can't grow like large plants in this type of system, but it's really good for lettuce. And we're going to be growing Aunt May's Bib lettuce, a heirloom variety. So lettuce is really good for this type of system. That's why we're going to be growing it. Also, I just wanted to grow it. The first step in this type of hydroponic system is that we need to germinate our seeds. So we actually germinate our seeds in flats, right? We're not going to be using the tank until we get to, we already have germinated seedlings, and then we're going to move them in there. So we're going to be using our flats to germinate, and I'm actually going to move this down so you can see. Adjust this a bit. Okay, so we're going to be using 2 flats for this initial germination process. We have these flats, again, no holes. We're using water. We don't want our water to drain out. We have our top flat, and then we're going to be using this second flat because in this flat we have our heat mat. Right, if you guys remember when we talked about germination, temperature is one of the big factors that regulates germination. I got to sink down low. I'm still getting the hang of doing these videos. So temperature. One of the main factors that's going to regulate our germination. And all of our plants have a range of tolerance for temperature in which they will grow, in which they will start germinating. Within that range, there's also an optimum, right? So at that optimum temperature, you're going to see the best results in your germination. So the best germination speed, most uniform germination, best germination percentage. The reason why we're going to use bottom heat is we're going to try and get our lettuce up to that ideal germination temperature. Right, so lettuce itself can germinate anywhere from like 45 degrees to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, but ideal is 75, and that's what we're going to set our heat mat at. So hopefully we're going to get our temperature here to about 75 degrees, and that should improve our germination rate for our lettuce. And as an aside, different plants have different ranges of tolerance and preferences for temperature. A lot of that has to do with the region that they come from. So our temperate region plants generally are more cool weather plants. They can tolerate colder temperatures. Our Mediterranean plants usually require colder temperatures. And our tropical plants obviously are going to need warmer temperatures, right? And we generally group them into cool season plants and warm season plants. So lettuce is one of our cooler season plants. It's going to grow well in these cooler temperatures, but still, even if it's a cool season plant, that 75 degrees is still the optimum where we're going to see the best germination. So that's why we're using our heat mat. So this is really just our heating source, and we're going to take this flat, place it within the other one, and this is actually where we're going to germinate our seedlings. So I've added these funky little things here. As we're germinating these, ideally you want to use a humidity dome, really just a plastic cover. I don't have that, and I'm not going out to buy one. So instead I'm going to use a trash bag, and I'm going to kind of cover this with a trash bag. So these little spiky things here, these little broken twigs, are just to help keep that trash bag up. So I'm using the resources I have. Okay, so other than our 2 flats and our heating mat, we need some sort of medium to grow our plants in initially. And we're going to be using, let me tip this up so it makes it a little easier. We're going to be using Rockwool. So Rockwool is probably the most common, most popular medium that you're going to use in hydroponics. That's a little too far. It's essentially, here's what it is. This is 1-inch Rockwool cubes. You can see them like that. They got little holes in where we're actually going to drop the seeds. They have cuts in the bottom for aeration. Rockwool is man-made. They essentially take basalt rock and chalk and they heat it up very, very hot, like 3,000 degrees, and they spin it and they form it into what you see here. This was originally used and created to be used as insulation and then later adapted for hydroponics. It's a really good medium for hydroponics because that Rockwool has great water retention ability, so it's really able to hold in water. And remember, water is very important for germination, right? It's that first step of germination. Our seeds imbibe water. It also has very good aeration. Again, second major thing, right? We need the right temperature for germination, we need water, and then we need oxygen, right? So this is going to provide for that good aeration, lets oxygen get into our seeds. So really good medium. Some downsides of Rockwool: it is man-made. There is a natural variety that's like a volcanic origin, but the stuff we use is man-made, and it doesn't biodegrade. So you're contributing to waste by using Rockwool. You can wash these out and reuse them, but that is a consideration, right? It's not biodegradable. It's not the most sustainable material. Another consideration is that these can be an irritant, right? It's made up of these fine fibers that are spun together. So those fibers can irritate your skin, and you don't really want to be breathing this stuff in. So I don't have gloves with me. You can use gloves. Wash your hands afterwards. If it does irritate your skin, maybe you don't want to use it. Or like I said, use gloves. But besides those downsides, again, very popular medium for hydroponics because of that water retention ability and that aeration. And it allows, it holds together, so it allows our something for our seeds to grow in, which we need when we're starting off in this hydroponic system. So, to germinate our seeds with Rockwool, really simple process. What we're going to do is we are going to, we're going to, there's my flat, let's fix that. We are going to take our Rockwool, we're going to place it in our flat. I'm going to bring this camera up. Take our Rockwool, let's see if you can see that, place it in our flat like so, and then we're going to pour water on it. So you need this thing to soak and be wet before you start using it. Alright, so you're going to pour water all over this cube, like so. And we are going to let this sit for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to let that sit for 5 minutes, and once it's done, I'm going to restart this. Okay, so that was about 5 minutes. And really what you want to do is you want to get your Rockwool nice and saturated. So it's nice and saturated. This is going to retain water now for a little while. So what I did is I drained out the rest of the water in the flat, right? So you let it sit in there for a couple minutes, about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Some people let it sit overnight. And then what you can do is you can drain out the rest of the water. And now, next step is you're going to plant directly into your Rockwool. So I'm going to take my seeds. Really, really easy here, right? All you have to do is let your Rockwool soak. And then you take your seeds and you can plant right into them. So we have our lettuce seeds right here. We have a lot of lettuce seeds. That Rockwool there You can see it has those little holes. That's what you're planting into. I'm going to do, you can do 1 seed in a hole, you can do 2 seeds in a hole, and then you would later thin them out. I'm just going to do 1 for now. Get in there. You want to make sure you get your seed in there. They're pretty tiny, but in each hole you're going to drop your seed. And then once you're done, you're just about there. So we drop a seed in each of these holes, and what's going to happen is these seeds are going to germinate, hopefully, and we're going to get little seedlings growing. And once they start growing and they're big enough, we're going to transfer them to our actual hydroponic system. So this is just to get them going. I can tell you it's kind of hard because the seeds are so tiny. It's kind of hard to make sure that they're getting in each one. But work slowly. And it looks like we got them all, although it is hard to tell. I think they are all in there. So the remaining seeds we'll put back in here for another time. Maybe we'll get this going again later. We'll do another system. For right now, we put the rest of our seeds away. And that's it. Really, really simple, right? So last thing that we're going to do is we're just going to get this set up, and we're going to let it set up to get this all germinating. So we place our flat in our other flat with our heat mat. We're going to add our makeshift humidity dome, right? Sometimes you got to make do with the resources that you have. And this is what I have right now. So really why we're putting this on, we want to maintain a nice humid environment for our plants to grow here. Keep that rock wool moist, keep our seeds moist. So we have a little dome that created. You know, we can even pinch that in there like that. That looks nice. All right. And then we're going to put this on the shelf and plug it in. So that's the start of our hydroponics. In a couple days, once these germinate, we'll move it to the actual system up there, and we'll see how things go. Okay, have a good night, guys. I will talk to you later. So this is the full setup a couple days later. After those lettuce seeds started germinating, I moved them into the larger tank. So I first filled it with about halfway up with water, cut out some holes in that foam board that you see there, and put the rockwool in there to allow them to suspend. I have a air pump in there to provide oxygen to the plant roots, which is very important. And then I added a liquid fertilizer to the tank so our plants get the nutrients that they need. The fertilizer that I used is this AeroGarden liquid plant food. I put in 8 milliliters in initially, and then every 2 weeks added another 8. I think I actually cut it down to 4 because I didn't want to over fertilize. But there you see that as the days went on, lettuce grew bigger. I was able to harvest a couple times, right, as taking different leaves. And it was overall a really nice, easy system. So I say, guys, give it a try if you are interested.